On the eve of our wedding, Ethan, with his childhood sweetheart in his arms, asked me for one last night of freedom. He promised that after tonight, he would be faithful to our marriage until death. I looked at him for a long time before nodding in agreement. As he walked past me, he generously said, "Tonight, you can also go out and find a man. I promise I won't mind at all." No need to go out. I quietly walked over to his very best friend. My gaze, brimming with emotion, met his handsome eyes. "Sleep with me tonight?" He has a childhood sweetheart. Didn't I have a first love? The private room was filled with many people, including his closest friends and my bridesmaids. After a few rounds of drinks, everyone was a little tipsy. Ethan suddenly put his arm around Chloe, his childhood sweetheart, whom he had grown up with. He said, "Chloe, you see, childhood sweethearts really can't compete with unexpected love. Wasn't I just snatched away by Grace, this unexpected love? Tomorrow I'm marrying someone else. Don't you feel a little regretful?" A bitter expression instantly crossed Chloe's face, as if tears might fall at any moment. "What good is regret? It's your fault for falling for her later." Ethan looked at Chloe's tear-filled eyes in his arms, his face filled with tenderness. "How about we make up for that regret tonight?" Chloe looked up. "How?" Then slowly turned his gaze to me. "Wife," he exclaimed loudly. "Tomorrow we'll be husband and wife. I promise I'll be faithful to our marriage until death. I will never betray you. But tonight, our last night before the wedding, how about we do something exciting and grant each other one last night of freedom?" A chorus of cheers and shouts erupted in the private room, but my icy expression quickly silenced them. Ethan's ulterior motives were blatantly obvious. He wanted to spend a wild night with his childhood sweetheart, the girl he'd been flirting with throughout his youth. This was to make up for their regret of having loved but never having been intimate. He was sure I wouldn't outright refuse him, and that afterward, if he just sweet-talked me, I wouldn't hold this against him. The reason for his confidence was simple. Although he had ardently pursued me, purely in terms of family background, I was definitely marrying above my station. He believed I was not only captivated by him but also utterly unwilling to give up his wealthy, powerful family. After all, for a girl from a modest background like me, with ordinary factory worker parents, marrying into a wealthy family was incredibly difficult. And to meet him, how fortunate I was. He was right. I had experienced firsthand what it was like for a common girl to be noticed by a scion of a powerful family, only to face obstacles from his wealthy family, but not from him. My girlfriends beside me tugged at my sleeve. "Grace, don't be foolish, don't agree." I looked at Ethan for a long time, seeing the stubborn determination and certainty in his eyes. Finally, I nodded, my voice calm. "All right, I agree." Oh. Laughter and applause erupted. The silent atmosphere in the private room instantly vanished. "Grace is truly magnanimous, worthy of being the woman to marry into the estate. No wonder Ethan knelt in his father's study for 3 days and nights just to marry you. A woman joining a family like ours truly needs such grace." Ethan's slightly tense lips curved into a relaxed smile, and he pulled his compliant childhood sweetheart closer in his arms. He stood up, still holding her. "All right, it's getting late tonight. Tomorrow I still have a wedding to attend, so I can't spend all night long partying with you all. Chloe and I will head out first. Order whatever drinks you want, play as much as you like. All tabs tonight are on me." "Ooh, our Chloe is in for a rough night tonight." The private room erupted in another round of suggestive cheers and whistles. As he walked past me, lowering his gaze, he generously said, seemingly to show fairness, "Wife, if you want, you can also go out and find a man tonight. I promise I won't mind at all." He must have been banking on my reserved and private nature, knowing I'd never loosen up and do such a thing, to say something like that to me. I turned my head to look at him. "Really?" He raised an eyebrow. "Of course, a gentleman's word is his bond. You know I always keep my promises. Just like I said I'd marry you, and I did it." His tone was proud, as if marrying me was some immense favor he had bestowed upon me. So I should be understanding and magnanimous about him and Chloe tonight. I withdrew my gaze and looked toward the corner of the private room, at the man who had been stone-faced and silent all evening. No need to look outside, after all. What? Ignoring's expression, I quietly rose and walked to the man's feet. I crouched down, lowering myself, my gaze brimming with emotion, and looked up into his eyes. Carefully, I invited, "Sleep with me tonight?" The stone-faced man leaned back against the leather sofa, looking down at me. It felt as if he could kick me away in disgust the next second. Suddenly, a snort of laughter came from behind me. It was Ethan. "Wife, of all people, why him? His first love hurt him badly years ago, and he became a misogynist. He hasn't been with a woman in years. Misogynist. I pondered those words in my heart. Is that true? My emotions churned within me, but I stared at him without blinking. I gazed at the face that had haunted my dreams and kept me awake countless nights. Since we met again, if not for the alcohol tonight, it would have been the first time I dared to meet his gaze head-on. My nails dug into my palms. Truthfully, I wasn't sure how he would react to me now. Until the cold tip of a leather shoe pressed against my chin, the man's chin lifted higher, and his expression grew even colder. His icy demeanor was intimidating, and with a hint of irritation in his voice, he asked me, "Are you sure?" Unwilling to back down, I bravely pushed my chin further against the top of his shoe. "Yes." He abruptly rose from the sofa. Everyone probably thought I had completely infuriated him. They expected him to ruthlessly cast me aside the next second. After all, I'd heard that an aspiring actress had tried to flirt with him at a recent party. He, annoyed that she was blocking his path, simply waved his arm and pushed her directly into the pool. As she struggled in the water, crying for help, he didn't spare her a single glance, just strode away. At that moment, even Ethan was so startled that he lunged in front of me, spreading his arms to hold him back. Bro, she's my wife, after all, don't lay a hand on her. She doesn't know your temper. Please be patient with her for offending you. Grace, get up now. Didn't I tell you before? You absolutely cannot provoke Marcus. He's not interested in women. I know you're not interested in any man besides me, so stop trying to act tough in front of me. Go home and rest early with your friends. I don't know what Ethan said wrong, but the man pushed him several feet away with force. His eyes held a glint like a hidden blade. Who said I wasn't interested in women? At the same moment, my vision blurred as he hoisted me onto his shoulder. His deep voice, tinged with old grievances and resentment, reached my ears. Grace, you're the one who came to me. Just as we were about to walk out the door, to everyone's astonishment, watching my retreating back, slung over his best friend's shoulder, Ethan called out from behind, "Marcus, what do you mean?" It was him. Marcus. The man stopped, turned his head slightly, and said coldly, exactly what it sounds like. Ethan's tone became distinctly urgent. Are you serious? That's my wife. After an entire evening of casually calling me wife, was the word now somewhat jarring? Marcus looked back at Ethan with a deep, dismissive gaze, as if disdaining to speak another word to him. He turned back and carried me out the door. Ethan looked genuinely panicked. He rushed forward and grabbed Marcus's arm. Marcus, we grew up together like brothers. His gaze shifted to me, still slung over Marcus's shoulder. Friends don't betray friends over women, you understand? Marcus showed no intention of putting me down. After shaking off Ethan's hand, he forcefully pushed him by the shoulder. He pushed him right against Chloe, who had also followed to the doorway, pinning him against the wall perfectly so that their faces were almost touching. The man's voice was chilling. Good, as long as you understand. It's a special night, take care of your own affairs. I was already a bit dizzy from the alcohol. Now, hanging upside down on Marcus's back, I felt even dizzier. Wanting him to put me down, I softly called his name. Marcus, but all I got was his cold retort. Don't yell like that, are we that familiar? I bit my lip and swallowed the rest of my request to be put down. It was just dizziness, I could endure it. After all, I owed him. Not far away, Ethan was still relentless, looking as if he would chase after us. Marcus. How dare you? I'm not done with you. He was pulled back by other friends nearby. Ethan. Reserved since returning from abroad, don't provoke him. On self-development, your bid was so low, but he didn't say anything because of your close friendship. He must have harbored some resentment, though. Everyone knows you care about Grace, so he's probably just messing with you tonight. He'll likely drop Grace somewhere far away once he's downstairs. Don't you know he's been alone for years, without a woman in his life? We used to tease him and give him a nickname, remember? The recluse. He gives everyone the cold shoulder, isn't interested in women, and avoids any female. You were the one who started that nickname. Relax. His heart only belongs to his first love, that firecracker who abandoned him. There's no way he'd touch Grace. Ethan didn't chase after us, and Marcus and I walked away. Just before entering the elevator, I heard my two beautiful bridesmaids mock Ethan. Their voices dripped with sarcasm. Oh, can't handle it? Grant each other one last night of freedom. A gentleman's word is his bond. You can also go out and find a man. I promise I won't mind at all. Is single and free tonight. You know, at the VIP parking on the ground floor. Marcus indeed threw me. He tossed me into the passenger seat of his private car. The Pagani supercar sped away into the dark night. Inside an exceptionally styled mansion, I didn't recognize it and had never been there before. As soon as we entered, he ripped off my coat, gripping the back of my neck forcefully. His kiss, full of resentment and fierce hunger, landed on my lips. I winced, pushing him away, Marcus, but his grip on my waist tightened, pinning me against the wall so I couldn't move an inch. His voice was harsh. Didn't you want to sleep with me? Why are you pulling away? I couldn't argue, so I just pleaded, could you be a little gentler? In an instant, he threw me onto the bed. He wasn't in the mood for gentleness. I can't. Clothes flew one by one to the floor. He was fiercely aggressive, showing no mercy. It was only when he discovered I was still untouched that he suddenly froze. That handsome face, which had been so cold, ruthless, and full of resentment and anger, finally softened a little. You haven't slept with Ethan? After so many years apart, how could I explain my current situation to him? I bit my lip repeatedly and gave a vague reply. I haven't had the chance yet, a couple on the eve of their wedding, and they hadn't slept together yet. In modern society, who would believe that? Who could manage it? For me, of course, there was a reason. The reason was, strictly speaking, Ethan and I had never actually dated. We had skipped that entire stage, jumping straight to the end, marriage. Of course, that didn't stop him from genuinely wanting to marry me, and I genuinely wanted to get along with him and spend the rest of our lives together. Only after tonight, everything would likely change. Marcus's thick brows furrowed. He stared at me for a long time, clearly finding it unbelievable. Dad and I hadn't had a physical relationship. Yet, with the truth before him, he had no choice but to believe that I truly hadn't been intimate with any other man. The icy sharpness in his handsome eyes gradually faded, replaced by a subtle flush, a redness that deepened little by little. It was as if years of suppressed grievance and deep affection were finally willing to show a tiny corner of themselves to me. Finally, with a sigh of resignation, as if letting down his guard, he pulled me into his embrace. On the corner of my lip that he had ruthlessly bitten earlier, he placed a kiss. He rolled over, holding me, and pressed my head into the crook of his neck. Our bodies intimately pressed together. I heard his warm breath whisper, Grace, I still love you. After those words, his kisses became tender and lingering. Gentle. Tears welled in my eyes as the ceiling light above me swayed and blurred. Past midnight, my cell phone suddenly began vibrating nonstop. The melodious ringtone, at that moment, felt incredibly annoying, disturbing the man's focused attention. It was my cell phone. It was Ethan. Who had time to deal with him right then? I meant to swipe to dismiss the call, but my unsteady finger accidentally hit the answer button. Immediately, Ethan's distinctly unstable voice came through, Wife, why aren't you home? Where did Marcus dump you? Let's not play this stupid pre-wedding freedom game anymore. I've thought about it, and it's so boring. Besides, Chloe is nothing but a slut, she can't even compare to a single strand of your hair. Where are you? I'm coming to pick you up. I regret so much making that ridiculous suggestion to you in the private room, Beefo. I could speak. Marcus snatched the cell phone. His tone was defiant. Regret? Too late. You can't pick her up, because she's in my bed right now. What? Marcus? Beep. Marcus hung up and turned off the phone, then carelessly tossed it far away. Ethan provoked him, but I was the one who suffered the consequences. He picked me up and moved me from the head of the bed to the foot. He bit my ear, again. Seconds and minutes relentlessly ticked by. I longed and longed for a moment's reprieve, but it never came. Finally, the dark night was completely over, and daylight broke through. Even the drawn curtains couldn't block out the bright glow. Today was the day Ethan and I were supposed to get married. By now, I should have been getting ready and rushing home, changing into my wedding gown, sitting at my vanity, and having the makeup artist create a beautiful bridal look for me. Quietly and expectantly waiting for Ethan to arrive with a long wedding motorcade to pick me up. Marcus, of course, knew all this. The man, who had toiled all night without seeming to tire, gradually lost the intense edge he had once the light began to break. He wouldn't let me go, he wouldn't give up. Pleading didn't work, begging didn't work, sweet talk didn't work. He just used those beautiful, reddened eyes to press me again and again. Don't marry him, promise me, Grace, don't marry him, promise me. I really wanted to agree, if only he would pause for a moment and let me catch my breath. I couldn't even form complete words right now. After a long silence without my answer, the man seemed to despair, suddenly collapsing onto me, clinging tightly. He held me tightly, his voice laced with a hint of plea. Grace, don't marry him, please. It was so hard, but finally, there was a small window for me to respond. Okay, I rasped, my voice completely hoarse. He immediately propped himself up, looking at me intensely. You agreed? I nodded vigorously. If I didn't agree, would he let me go and marry his best friend? Besides, after seeing Ethan for the scoundrel he was, would I be a fool to still marry him? His apple bobbed, his lips parted slightly as if deliberating for a long moment, before he finally blurted out, if I told you now that I want you to be with me again, would you agree? My entire body was sore and numb, I truly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I could only weakly hit his chest with my fist. Marcus, you've kept me up all night, I haven't had a minute of rest. And now you're asking if I'm willing. His brow suddenly relaxed. So you are willing? I could only answer him with another vigorous nod. A loud kiss landed near my lips. He pulled me up into a sitting position. Grace, come with me somewhere. Where? You'll know when we get there. I shook my head, collapsing back onto the bed. No, another day. I'm too exhausted. I can't move an inch. His voice was firm. No, today, right now. It's okay if you can't move, I'll carry you, or I can give you a piggyback ride. As he spoke, he was already hastily dressing me. I felt completely overwhelmed. I felt so dirty. We had been at it all night. Marcus, my body, don't dress me like this. At least let me take a quick shower. He seemed very urgent. It's fine, no one else will know. We can shower later, and we'll just throw these clothes away and buy new ones. And so, a disoriented couple who had spent an unrestrained night, with clothes barely covering them, brazenly headed out the door. Marcus carried me out of the mansion and into the passenger seat. He drove steadily, yet fast. As I got in, I saw him check my clutch, though I didn't know why. Barely 2 minutes after driving away from the mansion, he reminded me, Grace, turn on your cell phone and tell your family the wedding is cancelled, so they don't make a wasted trip to the venue. Oh, right. It was only then that I fully registered what he said. He had truly made me feel like an idiot. Ignoring countless messages and calls from Ethan, I first contacted my parents. By the time I finished contacting my relatives and friends, we had arrived at the destination Marcus intended to take me. I glanced sideways. This? On a bright red sign above the entrance, for large characters boldly declared, marriage registration. City Hall? This man was crazy, wasn't he? Completely out of his mind. I looked at him in utter shock, but he just smiled softly. Then he turned off the car and carried me out. We sat on the waiting bench outside City Hall. They weren't even open yet. The doors. He was so frantic that he didn't even bother to let us clean ourselves up, he just dragged me here. He wrapped one arm around me and grabbed both of my hands with the other. Feeling his emotions finally settling, he said, Grace, we've been apart for 7 years. 7 years of missed chances. Don't you think that's a very long time? I truly can't wait another second. If you're willing, let's get married right away. Okay? How could I not be willing? My first love had waited 7 years for me, and I had never truly let go of him. Why wouldn't I want to finally be with him? But then I remembered the scene years ago when his mother sternly summoned me to meet her. Marcus and I? Getting married right away? What kind of family did he come from? One that consistently topped the Forbes list. How could our marriage be so simple? So I couldn't help but ask, your family, Grace, he interrupted me. He looked earnestly into my eyes. When two adults are in love, want to be together, and want to be together forever, and want to get a certificate to protect that love, I don't believe it necessarily requires the elders' approval. They have their opinions, but you and I are both adults. Registering the marriage is just between you and me. Of course, as for your parents, I will go apologize to your mom and dad myself. I'll accept any scolding, cursing, or punishment until they agree to let me be their son-in-law. But my family, Marcus sighed deeply. Dealing with his family was just as difficult now as it had been in the past. A sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Grace, I'll tell you one thing. If you ever dare to back away, run away, or abandon me like you did 7 years ago, you're dead meat. I quickly leaned my head into his embrace, comforting him. I won't run, I won't back down again. I'll do whatever you say. When the City Hall staff began work, several more couples had lined up behind Marcus and me. As he skillfully pulled out my identification from my clutch, I remembered him furtively rummaging through my clutch just before we left. He had been checking if my documents were there. We were, of course, the first couple to register our marriage today. Both of us, having not slept all night, naturally sported large dark circles under our eyes. We should have looked exhausted, but in the ID-style photo for the certificate inside the marriage certificate, we were grinning like a pair of happy fools. It was clear at a glance that we were marrying voluntarily, extremely voluntarily. The official seal stamped down on one corner of the photo, and we each held a copy. When I took the marriage certificate, my hands were trembling with excitement, and so were his. I was married, to my first love. He swept me into his arms, then planted a loud kiss on my cheek. As we walked out of City Hall, he leaned close to my ear, his breath heavy, and whispered, "Darling." I was too shy to look at him, covering my face with both hands. But I couldn't hide the smile that showed all my teeth as I replied, "Darling." With my cell phone off, it was truly peaceful. On the way back to the mansion, he took me to quickly buy 2 outfits. As soon as we entered, he peeled off my clothes again, this time throwing them all into the trash. Then he carried me into the bathroom to wash and play. Afterward, I changed into my new pajamas and lay back on the soft sofa, watching him in the kitchen nearby, making me a late breakfast. Savory shrimp and egg custard, one of my favorite dishes from when we were together before. He still remembered. He brought it to the sofa area and fed me spoonful by spoonful. Some things were bothersome, but they still needed to be handled, to be faced. After washing up and eating something, both our spirits had recovered significantly. Marcus first turned on his cell phone. As soon as it was on, he was bombarded with calls. He answered. The first call came from a mutual friend of his and Ethan's. "My God. Marcus, you finally turned on your phone. Where are you? You're not really with Grace, are you? Don't you know Ethan has lost it? He's been frantically driving around looking for you since last night, having torn through more than 10 of your residences in the city. Today is Ethan's wedding, yet neither you nor the bride are anywhere to be found or reachable. All the groom's guests have arrived, but not a single one from the bride's side has shown up. Now it's trending online that the heir's wedding is off, with the bride having run away. Now the entire internet is laughing at the family, and Ethan is currently speeding towards your mansion on Willow Road." I held my breath, but Marcus remained calm. "I'm on Willow Road. Tell him to come." He hung up the phone. Marcus placed the empty dishes and utensils on the coffee table, then took both my hands and said, "Darling, go change your clothes. After we see Ethan, I'll go with you to your parents' place to see your mom and dad and explain the situation, so they don't worry at home." I nodded, "Okay." No sooner had we changed than Ethan was pounding on the main gate. Marcus pressed the remote button, letting him in. Ethan was disheveled, sporting huge dark circles under his eyes, which were bloodshot and red-rimmed from strain. His chin was covered in dark stubble. He looked less like a young groom and more like a scruffy, down-and-out old man. The moment he stepped inside, the fury on his face looked capable of setting the mansion ablaze. First, he glared angrily at Marcus in front of him, then his gaze fell on me, standing behind Marcus. He took several deep, gasping breaths, as if swallowing shattered teeth. Ignoring, he controlled his emotions and spoke softly to me, "Wife, we're getting married today, did you forget? Come on, it's still not too late. Let's go get married." With that, he reached out to take my hand. Marcus slapped his hand away. "Ethan, don't go around calling her that. There was no wedding, and no marriage certificate was signed. She's not your wife." Ethan roared, "We're going to have the wedding right now, aren't we?" Their gazes locked in a silent battle, and Marcus's expression grew even more serious. I spoke from behind him. "Ethan, I agreed to your one last night of freedom proposal last night, but I didn't agree to still marry you today. I'm sorry, but we both became single again last night. I can't marry you." After hearing my refusal, Ethan, through gritted teeth, asked Marcus word by word, "Did you touch her last night?" Marcus calmly countered, "What do you think?" Before I could react, a sudden punch landed. Marcus stumbled from Ethan's blow. "You slept with my wife. You fucking." He shielded me, and once Marcus regained his footing, he unceremoniously landed a punch square on Ethan's face. Ethan reeled backward, collapsing against the shoe cabinet by the door. Marcus turned and retrieved a marriage certificate, then grabbed Ethan's collar and forced him to look closely. "Grace. She is my wife now. Try calling her your wife again, I dare you." Ethan was completely stunned. He tremblingly reached for the marriage certificate. He saw our faces, mine and Marcus's, grinning like happy fools who couldn't hide their joy, and the incredibly recent registration date beside the photo. Seemingly finally finding a flaw in his understanding, he also grabbed Marcus's collar. He looked at Marcus, then at me, then back at Marcus, asking furiously and incredulously, "When did you two get together? You two have been secretly involved behind my back all along, haven't you?" Another punch landed, this time on Marcus's face. "Marcus, I treated you like my best bro, and you stabbed me in the back like this? You slept with my woman. You poached her from me. I hadn't even brought myself to touch her yet. And you dared to drag her off to register your marriage on the day she was supposed to marry me? I'll kill you. You ungrateful bastard. Who said she was your woman? She's mine. Mine. The two men started brawling. I had no choice but to take sides, only restraining Ethan and not Marcus. As they fought, perhaps because I was indeed taking sides and Ethan was getting the worst of it, his mouth, which had been spewing curses, actually began to quiver with sobs. You call me a bastard? You're the bastard, Marcus. We were best friends, and you do this to me? Do you know how much effort I put into pursuing her? I chased her for a whole year. I spent tens of millions, and still couldn't win her over. Wah. I knelt in his father's study for 3 days and nights, enduring family discipline for 3 days until I was bruised and battered, before my dad finally agreed to my marriage and let me decide for myself. He pointed at me plaintively. That's what finally made her believe my sincerity. Wah, she wouldn't even let me touch her, said she wanted to take things slowly. Wah. And now it's all gone to you so easily. Wah. Even though my parents thought she was a bookworm, an academic, and not beneficial to the family business, and didn't approve of me marrying her. Do you know how proud I was to marry an accomplished scholar, a tall, beautiful research scientist with a PhD? Wah. I walked around with my head held high in front of all my buddies. They were so envious of me. It was so much better than those who could only marry wealthy socialites who just shopped and got cosmetic procedures. Wah. Why did you have to steal her from me? Don't you love your first love, the one who abandoned you? Go find your first love. Don't poach my woman, Marcus, give her back to me, give her back. Wah. The fight couldn't continue. Ethan was completely dissolved into tears. He lay on the floor, throwing a tantrum. Perhaps I still didn't understand Ethan well enough. I truly hadn't expected to see this side of him. Thinking about the passionate year he spent pursuing me, it genuinely brought a lot of sunshine into my dull life at the research institute. To be honest, I was touched by him. Many times I stopped thinking of Marcus's name, believing I could finally let go of that distant first love. Perhaps I should cherish this second ardent love in my life. If I missed it again, I might truly end up alone forever. But I didn't love Ethan, this entitled rich kid, enough, nor did I have the energy for a casual fling. Yet, I genuinely intended to give things a try with him. A serious attempt, with marriage as the premise. So one day, when he was blocking the entrance of my research institute, waiting for me to get off work, I asked him, "Are you just looking for fun with me? You know I'm very busy with my research every day. I really don't have time for a casual relationship. So, if I agree to be with you, will we get married?" He must have misunderstood, thinking I wanted to marry him immediately. After taking me home, he solemnly declared, "Give me 3 days, and I'll give you a definite answer. Wait for me." That's when he knelt in his father's study for 3 days and nights, enduring family discipline, just to plead with his dad for permission to marry me. When he returned to me, bruised and battered, his bones aching from kneeling for days at home, he said with a laugh, "My parents have agreed to our marriage. As long as you're willing, we can get married right away. Grace, I've given half my life for this, you can't refuse me now." Seeing him like the how could I possibly refuse? All I could do was nod in agreement. Talking about marriage so suddenly, the pace felt too fast, and I felt genuinely uneasy. So when he first suggested staying over at my place, I refused. Later, when another opportunity arose, he suggested I spend the night at his place, and I refused again. After that, he never brought up such a request again, focusing solely on getting us married as quickly as possible. "Don't worry about that," he'd say. "I'm not in a hurry. We'll be married soon, so let's save that beautiful moment for our wedding night." Thinking about it only made him more excited. It wasn't until his childhood sweetheart, Chloe, found out Ethan and I were getting married and came to cause a scene that I knew. I only then learned that he had been dating Chloe before. He himself fell for someone else, first breaking up with his childhood sweetheart girlfriend before audaciously pursuing me. I didn't think there was a big problem with that. He fell in love with me, no longer loved his childhood sweetheart, broke up with her, and then pursued me. The sequence seemed right. So I didn't pay much attention to his relationship with Chloe, even though she often showed up in front of him. When did things start to go wrong? After he met my parents, and after both sets of parents formally met because their children were getting married. My parents were both ordinary factory workers. They weren't highly educated and hadn't seen much of the world. In front of a wealthy, powerful family like the family, with hundreds of millions in assets, they inevitably seemed crude and spoke timidly. Their calloused hands wouldn't even dare to reach out to shake hands with their in-laws. They would exhaust everything, go bankrupt, and still couldn't provide a decent dowry for me. I gradually noticed Ethan's attitude toward me changing. Before, he had always been humble and eager to please, trying every trick to win my affection. His attitude became arrogant and condescending. I hadn't paid much attention to it initially, because I was no longer the person I was 7 years ago. I didn't think I was unworthy of Ethan, the idle scion of the Hayes family. As long as he truly loved me, was loyal to our relationship, and had endless family money, a little idleness wasn't a big deal. No one dictates that a person must constantly strive for something. But when it came to compatibility, I was an accomplished scholar, a research scientist with a PhD from the Research Institute, highly educated and knowledgeable. My future was limitless, destined to benefit society and its people. Why should I be unworthy of an illiterate, entitled rich playboy who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, barely literate, bought all his degrees, and squandered money constantly? Who was unworthy of whom, really? If he truly looked down on me, well, I looked down on him even more. I thought he understood the balance of intellect and wealth between us. But to my surprise, after seeing my very ordinary family background, he actually thought I was greatly marrying above my station and that meeting him was a huge stroke of luck for me. He expected me to be more submissive, to try harder to hold on to him, to flatter him. He even started flirting with his childhood sweetheart again, whose romantic ties to him were clearly not severed. Marcus's reappearance had truly unsettled me, and before I had a chance to set Ethan straight, our wedding day was upon us. On the eve of our wedding, his actions and words made it clear to me, he wasn't worthy of me. He was not good enough for me. It also gave me the courage to try and reclaim that distant first love, which had never truly left the softest corners of my heart. Watching throw a tantrum and cry on the ground, Marcus seemed unfazed. I suppose he knew Ethan better than I did, they genuinely grew up together like brothers. Back then, when Marcus and I were young, we had a secret relationship, and he never introduced me to his friends or family. It wasn't until he returned from abroad recently and started talking about the past that the three of us realized each other's existence and the past entanglements. Back then, Marcus would always tell me, "Grace, just give me some time. I'm absolutely sincere about you, but my family. I don't have a say in things at home yet. Give me some time, wait for me, okay?" I nodded seriously, okay. I believed him. He was a young man whose diving skills were quite ordinary, yet he risked his life multiple times, diving into the deep sea to gather 108 rare pearls for me. That was my birth number. He used these pearls to create a precious, exquisite set of jewelry and presented it to me as a birthday gift. He was worthy of my complete trust. I knew his family was well off, a family with some influence. But I had no idea their wealth was so extravagant, or their connections so powerful, until I was walking down the street and forcibly pulled into a car by several men in black, then taken to a quiet private room. Inside sat an elegant wealthy socialite. After she had made her intentions clear, she slid $1 million check across to me. I felt deeply ashamed, lacking even the courage to look up at her, but I wouldn't take the money. So I gently pushed it back. I heard a faint scoff from her. "You're quite ambitious for a young woman." Then that $1 million check transformed into $10 million, and she pushed it back across to me. Her tone was light, almost gentle. "If it's not enough, I can add more. For our family, this is just a month or two's worth of pocket money. But you must break up with my son, leave his life forever. He has a fiancée, didn't he tell you? They're getting married right after graduation. His fiancée's dowry is no less than $10 billion. What do you have?" In that moment, all my perceptions of life, my values, completely collapsed. Forget the billions, just that $10 million check she so casually offered me. Most ordinary people wouldn't see that much money in several lifetimes, let alone earn it. And my boyfriend's mother, Marcus's mother, simply used it to casually dismiss her son's secret, poor girlfriend. My parents' combined monthly income was less than $10,000, and I was just an ordinary student from such a family. Every number she uttered was terrifying. I felt like a commoner pursuing a prince. This wasn't about whether we loved each other anymore, it was about me truly not being good enough for him. We were worlds apart, separated by a vast distance. One shouldn't lack self-awareness. I fled in disarray, agreeing to all her demands. I didn't even take the money, that amount had truly terrified me at the time. Later, Marcus never married that supposed fiancée. For some reason, his family directly sent him abroad. They pulled strings to restrict his entry and prevent his return to the country. This restriction lasted for 6 long years. During that time, I studied relentlessly, pursuing graduate studies, then a PhD. I couldn't allow myself to stop for a second. I was so insecure, to the very core. I felt like a commoner, daring to fall deeply in love with the prince who lived in a palace. I worked, and worked, and worked, wanting to ensure this common person from the mud didn't look quite so ugly and repulsive. Then, as I grew older, my mind matured, and my education progressed. This gradually restored my confidence, and I understood something important. Whether facing Marcus or later, Ethan, I didn't need to feel inferior or degrade myself. Because love is equal. He loves me, wants to be with me, wants to be with me forever. I love him, want to be with him, want to be with him forever. That's all there is to it. If we encounter any obstacles along the way, we'll face them together. That's the most correct and best way to deal with things. Marcus rolled up his sleeves and kicked Ethan twice in the rear. You chased her so hard, why didn't you cherish her? You were so proud when you got her, why didn't you cherish her then? You're getting married, and the night before, you want to go fool around with your ex-girlfriend? You deserve to have your wife stolen from you. Ethan sat up from the ground, wiped away his tears, and retorted, was I doing it on purpose? Chloe and I grew up together, how could I have absolutely no feelings for her? I just lost my head for a moment. I was drunk and acting recklessly when I made that ridiculous suggestion, boo-hoo-hoo. Marcus, even so, how could you try to steal your best friend's girl? Don't you have a conscience? I'm telling you. From today on, we're done. I'm holding a grudge, you and I are sworn enemies. Marcus ran a hand through his messy hair and let out a breath, sworn enemies? Are you saying the Hayes family no longer wants the Bay project worth $10 billion? You should know that I'm in charge of that project now, right? If I kick the Hayes family out and cause that project to fall through for your family, don't you think your dad's violent temper will make him so furious he'll break your legs? Ethan's fists clenched tightly. Are you threatening me? Marcus's tone was light. Yes, I am threatening you. What are you going to do about it? Ethan, furious, glared at Marcus, unable to utter a single word. Marcus reached out, pulled me into his arms, and nudged Ethan's knee with his foot. If you surrender, you'll address Grace respectfully. From now on, when you see her, show her utmost respect and keep your distance, at least 10 steps away. Ethan, eyes bloodshot, glared at Marcus through gritted teeth for a full minute. Suddenly, he buried his face in his hands and burst into loud sobs again. Should I offer him a few words of comfort? I pulled at the corners of my mouth, genuinely unsure what to say. So I turned to Marcus for help. What should we do? Without a word, Marcus grabbed Ethan by the feet and dragged him towards the door. Grace and I just registered our marriage this morning, and we're enjoying our time together. What are you doing here, being a big third wheel? Get out. Go back, dismiss the guests, take down the trending online topic, and explain things properly to your parents. Tell them I'll pay a formal visit to apologize to your family in a few days. Ethan's wails grew even more pathetic. Boo-hoo-hoo, damn you. Marcus, I'll never forgive you. You animal, you scumbag. You treat your best friend like a toy. Why did I ever know you? Ethan was finally thrown out the door by Marcus. Stop bawling. Just to correct you, I didn't steal your girl. You stole my girl and didn't even know how to cherish her. I was just speechless, and now I've simply taken her back. Marcus took my hand, let me reintroduce you. Grace, my first love, the reason I was restricted abroad for 6 years and couldn't return to the country. The reason I drowned my sorrows in alcohol, repeatedly suffered alcohol poisoning and was hospitalized, and the reason you came to see me abroad. The name I never dared to mention to you, fearing you'd bother her behind my back, fearing my mother would continue to harass her. This person right in front of you, Grace, is the only woman I, Marcus, will ever love in this life. And now, she's my wife. So from now on, you'd better put away any thoughts you have about her. Don't harbor any improper intentions. You know I'm the sole heir of the Vance family and will gradually take full control. I really don't want to leave my best friend, who I grew up with, or your Hayes family, utterly destroyed. 5 years later. It was my daughter Millie's 2nd birthday. The birthday party was held at the Vance family estate. Before the festivities began, her grandma held her close, gazing at her with loving eyes. She placed a tiara worth $200 million on her head. Our Millie of the Vance family was born to enjoy a life of comfort. Sweetie, H. Happy birthday. Grandma loves you. Millie threw herself into her grandma's arms. Thank you, Grandma. I love you too. A moment later, her grandma glanced a few steps away, where Marcus was kneeling on the ground, carefully and gently adjusting my shoes and socks. Her expression soured. She pulled out a property deed and said to Millie, "Grandma doesn't know what's wrong with me lately. I get dizzy whenever I see water. It's very bothersome." This grand overseas estate, tens of thousands of square feet, has half its area dedicated to water features. It's been under my name for so many years, and Grandma doesn't want it at all anymore. But your daddy loves diving and playing in the water so much. Grandma's golden child, the Vance family's heir, will surely love it too. With a dismissive gesture, she shoved the property deed into Millie's hand. "Go on now. Give it to your mommy, let her take you and your little brother to enjoy it." The estate's location and environment were superb. It was rumored to have cost nearly $20 billion when purchased and was the most valuable dowry her grandma brought into the family. My daughter Millie's soft voice asked, "My little brother? Where is he?" Seeing mother still feigning animosity towards me, Marcus and I exchanged helpless smiles. He pulled Millie into his arms and playfully flicked her nose. He placed her small hand on my stomach, right here. Perhaps because I hadn't taken the $10 million she offered 7 years ago, she started to see me in a different light. Or perhaps because my status was now different from before, having become a leading figure in national scientific research at the Research Institute, and having made significant contributions to society in the second year of our marriage. Marcus's parents' opposition to our marriage wasn't as strong as I had initially imagined. Now, we were slowly entering a phase of family harmony.